the small business development centers in the area to get additional training. I know with the new information that comes out, there'll be more questions, but there'll also be more resources available because we have a lot of friends, family members, and small business owners in the community that need help during this time. And we want to get this information out on the widest possible bandwidth, and that's why we are doing this presentation today. As soon as we get the slides up, we'll go in depth, and I'll actually kind of show some screenshots of what you can expect, as well as some updates about the online live site. As many of you are aware that you've talked to anyone that has been applying since yesterday. The site did crash yesterday. However, they were putting some patches in line. However, they have some workarounds in the meantime, and that's another thing I do want to share. So getting into what the economic injury disaster loan is, it is up to a $2 million loan at 3.75% interest rate for small businesses and 2.75% rate for nonprofits. What we want to talk about is the eligible businesses who can apply. These are small businesses, agriculture, cooperative, aquaculture businesses, and most private nonprofit organizations. For the business to be eligible, they must directly be affected by the disaster. In one of the webinars yesterday, I did give an example about talking about restaurants and how they are affected by the business and social distancing and not having customers. But we've seen all types of businesses apply, marketing businesses, some construction firms. It's not limited to restaurants. This spans such a large amount of businesses where their clientele and business has either stopped or severely declined because of social distancing and things put in at state and federal government levels with restrictions. So please know it doesn't have to be just one type of business, but they do have to show that they've been affected by the disaster, which most businesses are able to do. They must be located in a disaster area. So as many of you are probably aware, last Friday, actually a week ago today, the state of Ohio was declared a disaster area. And how that process went is they were supposed to identify at least 5 businesses in certain areas that were affected by COVID-19. Once that was done at the governor's level, it was requested that they get assistance from the SBA, and our administrator signed the availability to release of these funds for those areas. On the website, there's actually a way to check to see if your county is affected, and it's where the business is located or registered is what matters. And then most all of the counties within Ohio are populated on that site, and I will show you once we can get the slides up a way to check that.
Is that the right one, Josh?
Yeah, that's fine. Right before that, the only thing, if you can actually back up one more, it's slide number 3, and it says how much can be borrowed. This is just a recap of what I stated verbally, letting business know that it is, you have it in writing, 3.75% fixed interest rate for small businesses and 2.75 for non-for-profits. And then the term is, it's a 1-year deferred rate. What that actually means is for the first 11 months, you will have no payments on this loan. On month 12, your first payment will be due. This is up to a 30-year term. How the term is set is once you fill out or the business fills out the application for this loan, a processor will actually call them and they will help them finalize the amount of money needed. In the application, a lot of people were confused because it was grayed out for the amount of money you're looking to borrow. What the processor does when they contact you, they help work out an amount based on your obligations as a small business. To include, remember, this is a working capital loan. This is to include payroll, accounts payable, fixed debt payments, and other bills. So they help work out what money is needed, and in the time horizon, based on how long did they anticipate this going on, what the ability of the business has to repay that loan. Now, just to make clear, the red portion on this slide, what this loan is not for is dividend payments, disbursements to owners, repayments of stock loans, except as a result of the disaster, of course, facility expansion, so no, this loan cannot be used to update or expand your facility, and refinance of long-term debt to cover physical damage or payment of federal debt. Now, you will see a section on the loan, and we'll talk about this in another slide as well, about physical damage. When having businesses fill this form out in this application, they need to make sure that they click economic injury. When disaster loans were initially set up, obviously, a long time ago, they were for the traditional natural disasters such as hurricanes, tornadoes, earthquakes, where there was physical damage. This loan is for economic injury specifically as it relates to COVID-19. So if we can go to the next slide, please. So we're going to talk about the collateral requirements. It can be an unsecured amount up to $25,000, no collateral needed. However, loans over $25,000 should have collateral. Now, we understand not everyone is a homeowner, but the SBA will look to get any collateral that is available. Some businesses have large equipment and machinery that can be held as collateral as well. Obviously, they try to get collateral on anything above $25,000, but this is a disaster loan, so they are looking to say, hey, lack of collateral is not a reason for decline. That's why you have a processor actually reach out to you after you fill out the application, and they go over specific parameters of the loan terms and availability. Next slide, please. So as we go into the basic filing requirements, I want to point out the two forms listed in the application. There's a Form 5 and a 5C. Form 5 would be for your S Corps, your LLCs, and businesses of that nature. However, your 5C is specifically for sole proprietorship. Make sure you're filling out the correct form. Once the live site comes back available, there's actually a box where you fill in the radio button, which will take you to the correct forms. But if you are filling out the PDF forms and either uploading them to the Dropbox, or if you are filling them out and mailing them in, make sure you're using a Form 5C only if you're a sole proprietor business. IRS 4506T for the applicant, principal, and affiliates, and then the business federal income tax returns, of course, are needed. There are some parameters. They do need to make sure you're current on taxes. We've had a lot of questions. What if I haven't filed my tax returns yet for 2019? That's okay. Provide 2018. If you came into business after that, you need to provide a current P&L or profit and loss statement. Most current is preferred. You will be able to have a list of schedule of liabilities on the SBA Form 2202. And I will give everyone the link on one of the slides to a site where you can download the forms in PDF format and start filling those out. And then also direct any businesses you're talking to or working with for the same. Small business financial statement is on the SBA Form 413, and then they like to see the monthly sales tracking. SBA Form 1368 is recommended, but some people have another monthly tracking. As long as there is a monthly tracking form uploaded, that is what they are looking to see. Next slide, please. Additional filing requirements. Personal tax returns for all principals is important. Remember, under $25,000, it is a personal guarantee. They also need to see your tax returns for other reasons to make sure that you can afford the amount of the loan, but also there are some restrictions on how much money you can have to be eligible for this. We'll talk about that. It's $15 million in total assets, and those are tangible assets. So they do obviously need to see your personal and your business tax returns if you are the owner of the business. End of year financial statements are required, and then as mentioned previously, that current P&L or profit and loss statement. If we can go to the next slide for ineligible entities. One of the things we want to talk about here is who is not eligible currently under this EIDL program, and that is farms, religious organizations, gambling concerns, casinos and racetracks, speculative entities, SBA loan packagers, lobbyists, real estate developers, and then concerns that have credit available elsewhere. Now, the credit available elsewhere has kind of thrown a boomerang for some people. Remember, that just doesn't mean that you have a $5,000 line of credit at your local bank through your business. What we're looking about is credit available elsewhere. That's why you are putting in your personal tax information as well. So if your spouse has several $1 million or has tremendous sizable assets, and you have a 850 credit score, that would be the credit available elsewhere where you have other means to not need or take advantage of the EIDL loan is what they're looking for. If someone is usually kind of on the fence, we recommend that they apply and start the process, because this can be up to a 3-week process or just a little bit more depending on your application. We say 16 to 21 days on processing, another 5 for that processor to work with you, and then 5 for disbursement. So anywhere from just under 3 weeks to under a month for total time. Now that is to get the money. That is not just the application. We've gotten a lot of feedback from businesses. I've heard anywhere from 1 hour, depending on how the live site was going, up to 4 hours to get through a total package. Now, remember, some businesses are faster at doing this because they have current P&L statements available. The reason on the previous slide we listed all the forms, because businesses can go and download our forms online and start filling those out. They don't need the live site. As mentioned before, the live site was temporarily down, so they can fill out those PDF forms to upload to a digital Dropbox as well. Can we go to the next slide, please? Okay, so this was the apply online. As I mentioned, they were working on patches on this yesterday, so people will be able to go back. But if you look at the disaster loan at SBA.gov, you can still get all the forms online. And on this site, you might want to take a screenshot or a picture with your phone of the address. A lot of businesses and individuals ask where they can mail it to. Most times you can get the address offline, but here it is. It is in Fort Worth, Texas, and any paper or PDF applications can be mailed in there directly. However, I do want to point out, as mentioned, you can take those same PDFs and upload them to the digital Dropbox, which should be much faster than standard mailing. SBA's customer service listed below. They can provide applications, however, you can get those online. What this number is more important for problems or higher level questions that are very specific to your application. Now, as a result of the COVID-19 crisis and everything that is affecting local small businesses, we at the SBA have all been redesignated to help with this. However, we do not work in the disaster center. So some of the very specific questions that apply to having issues with the site, please direct that to the customer service center at 1-800-659-2955 or disaster customer service at SBA.gov. I will kind of put out some of the tips and tricks that we've heard with some different individuals applying lately. And of course, at the end, I will provide everyone in the local area from an SBA standpoint that you can contact. We want to work with businesses and our resource partners in the community to provide as much information as we have, but there's also these other 2 resources that are actually the disaster center resources as well. Next slide, please. So I did, as this slide popped up, include this. This was as of late last night. Small businesses weren't able to apply online, and that was just due to what I mentioned earlier, some of the fixes they were looking to restore that because of the very, very, very high volume of applicants all at one time. Next slide. And the same thing here is the new ways to go ahead and do the updated filing. As mentioned, you can have a business fill out the PDF and supporting documentation and uploading it using the digital Dropbox. And then you can also fill out the PDF and mail them in to the Fort Worth, Texas address that I provided on a couple slides ago. Next slide, please. Okay, so one of the biggest things that's going to cause a delay is missing items in the application. We understand that the live site, a lot of people preferred that because it gave a red asterisk or a red box when you were missing something and would not let you move on to the next slide. For those that are filling out the paper or PDF application, please make sure you go through each section. If you have a question and you're not sure, reach out. Here at the district office, so Cincinnati is a branch office, but we are part of a larger district office in Columbus. At the end of the slideshow, we'll leave up the numbers where you can get a hold of several different resources, not only Cincinnati, but our district office as well, should you have any questions we can help with at our level, because we don't want you to be delayed by missing any information or not understanding a section of the application. Next slide, please. So as we look to this slide, this is what the DLAP looked like when it was able to still apply online. You should still be able to look at the red circle on the left, which is eligible disaster loans. So that is disasterloan.sba.gov, and then you see the DLAP site allows you to click on that red circle that says eligible areas. That's how you would filter down for anyone that's curious to make sure that their county has been added, or if they're trying to help someone else that may be wondering if their specific county is added on there, because it must be in the system for you to be able to click and apply to the EIDL loan process. So that is how you do that. Once the site is up again, you can actually check your status online by that green circle. This is why it's very important. One of the things I want to point out is a lesson learned recently is please write down your application. If you're one of the businesses that previously were able to get online and start an application, or once the site does restart again, please save that application number because you will need it to check statuses. And if you call the 1-800 number and you've already started an application or will be starting one online once it's restored, you'll need that application number. Next slide, please.
And Josh, we did have a question. Would you like to discuss that now, or do you want to wait until the end for questions?
If it's one, let's go ahead and hit that one now, and we'll reduce the number at the end. Hopefully it'll answer several people's questions.
Okay. The question was, if I uploaded the 5C form but did not upload my P&L tax returns and others, should I upload them all to Dropbox, or should I hold off until I am contacted?
So just so I heard the whole thing, they upload the 5C, but we're missing the P&L, and what was the other item that was missing?
It said I did not upload my P&L, tax returns, and others. Should I upload them all to Dropbox, or should I hold off until I am contacted?
Does that person state if they had uploaded all the additional or the 5C to the Dropbox, or done strictly on the live site before it crashed?
It does not say.
Okay, for that caller, if you did it on the live site, you're going to have to submit that. Okay, go ahead.
He said that he just submitted them to Dropbox.
Okay, perfect. Then you need to add it to Dropbox and make sure everything is complete. Make sure on there that it has your application number, because that's how it completes your entire application, is all of those documents have to be added to Dropbox. So I would suggest that that caller go ahead and please upload that to the Dropbox so it can be complete, and take a screenshot if you can, or a picture once you get the confirmation that it has been saved, because you'll need to refer to that once they call you if there are any issues. I recommend people to save and save often, whether you're working on these applications through PDF or the Dropbox or were previously online. Make sure you're keeping records of everything submitted so it can be pulled up, because you will have someone contact you. Once this application is complete, they're going to call you to work on the time horizon and then help figure out the amount of money needed for the business to meet its outcome. Having all that at your fingertips for your submission and your loan application number are very imperative. Okay, so I don't know if you're able to blow this up so they can see this slide, but this is what the instructions look like now. It talks about downloading the business forms. These are the forms that I highlighted earlier that will be needed. So you can go to each one of those blue hyperlinks and it'll download the form. It also gives you access to digital forms, and then uploading, and I don't know if everybody can see it through the icons, but then uploading in the Dropbox, it says upload your loan information there, and that is the new process how you're doing that. It says upload your loan documents, and it drags to the Dropbox file. Okay, can we have the next slide, please? So one of the big things we've noticed is a lot of the frequently asked questions. So we decided to go ahead and put some of those in, or I took the liberty of putting some of those in here to this slideshow because a lot of people have some of the same questions. Yes, startups are eligible. We've had several businesses, as I mentioned earlier, about the tax returns. You may have not had a previous tax return, but you need to show the profit and loss statement showing what you have, and then also if you can show that you are affected by COVID-19, you're still a business. Just because you're a startup, that doesn't matter. It's not like some of the other programs where you have to have a certain length of time in business. If you're affected by this economic injury that is going on and you can show that, that's what they're looking for. How much should I ask for? I've covered this. It's based on your needs. Now, if you're not sure, don't worry. Just have all your documentation ready because the person that is helping you process this will walk you through that time horizon to help figure out what that looks like. And that's why it's very important to list all your liabilities in the application section. And then you look at account payable, things like payroll. That's how you will end up figuring out how much the loan should be for to help the business, continue on during this time. How do I demonstrate losses? You consider your fixed expenses. Obviously, a lot of people can show different ways on the losses based on looking back at last year's sales or whatever the business had coming in on a revenue basis, or if they look at the past several months and then they can see an severe decline as it relates to COVID-19 and availability of their business to service the community or whatever area that they may serve as a goods or service provider. What if I don't have enough collateral? As mentioned earlier, collateral, I can't stress this, it's not a reason for decline. They will look to secure any type of collateral that you would have for loans above $25,000. Below $25,000, however, is a personal guarantee. And then what do you need to do with your bank? Nothing. This is the direct loan. However, you should be in contact with them about your situation. One of the things that is not in this presentation that we just want to remind everyone, creditors for different types of loans are offering deferment periods. Please work with any crediting institution you may have out there and see if there's something that can be done to also help get you a little more time for the money to be so you're not behind. How much does this cost? There's no fees. Documentary costs may apply in some cases when collateral is required. There are some people out there that are able to help you with this application if you are not sure, and they can charge a nominal fee. Obviously, we have many resource partners, us at the SBA, SBDC, and SCORE out in the community, and anyone else that in different chambers and organizations are working with people to help answer questions, so you do not have to pay any fee for someone to help walk you through this. Is there a prepayment penalty fee? No. That's why I said earlier about you can actually, if you don't need as much, or if you start this process and some of the programs that are being worked on right now that on Capitol Hill that get signed, and you don't need as much as you were initially given through the disaster injury loan or the EIDL loan, you can actually pay that back early without penalty. Next slide, please. So as mentioned earlier, I want to provide all phone numbers available for the Columbus District Office. As you see my name, I am in the Cincinnati branch office. There's myself and Nicole Picard are the two staff that are in the Cincinnati area, but we've also listed many of the Columbus District staff, as well as Alex Coles right above my name, who is the Senior Area Manager for Dayton. David Townsend is the Lead Lender Relations Specialist in Columbus. Jerome Jones is also a Lender Relations Specialist. Shannon is an EDS, as well as Talia in our Columbus office. Please reach out to any of us. I did notice that we had close to 70 callers on the line, please, everybody, don't call just me. We have those other resources listed because I did a webinar yesterday with 368 participants, and I think 300 of them all tried to call me right afterwards, and my phone literally stopped working. So please use all of us. But also for those that may be up north, on the next slide, I've also included the Cleveland District Office, just to kind of let you know that there are other offices. If you have friends or family members or know other people in other areas, say it's not even in the state, let them know. If they just type in SBA District Office and then whatever area they're in, say if they're in Kentucky, they can pull up and get access. We are all government employees, so our information is out there. Our phone numbers and emails are available. It'll take you to that SBA's district office site. And you want to contact, if you speak to anyone that is in a different area, please encourage them to contact the SBA office in their area, only because different states have different programs other than just the federal. And the SBA has been working with their state and municipality partners to put all information out that are available to businesses. Obviously, the SBA, we can only present formally on the things that are approved that is offered by SBA, but we may know of other resources available to you in the community. That's why it's always good to touch base with your local SBA office if you have questions specifically for your area. I have a feeling we'll probably have a few questions, Jessica, so I want to turn this over to you and see what questions may have come in. I know we're at the 10:40 mark, so I want to allow time if we have some specific questions or feedback from the audience.
Yeah, absolutely. Just bear with me for 1 second. Okay. The question, someone asked, how can you estimate how much you will need when we are not sure how long this will last?
So that's a perfect question. That kind of goes back to when I was saying that you'll have the loan processing individual from the actual disaster team call you after you put in your application. On the applications, it's actually grayed out on the live application. On the paper application, you would not be putting an amount down. They're going to help look at the timeline. Obviously, we know initially we were telling people 6 to 9 months on the time horizon. However, the disaster folks are going to pinpoint that down even further based on your type of business and help figure out if your monthly costs for payroll, overhead, things of that nature, and then they'll times that by the number of months. Now remember, there's no prepayment. So we're telling people to gather all their liabilities and all their costs and then figure that out. And then you may end up, say things get fixed beforehand, you can pay back early without prepayment penalty. And you're not even making the first payment until month 12 after the loan is actually processed and you sign for that.
Okay. The next question is, are there other details that explain how the loans affect nonprofit organizations?
So for that, usually nonprofits aren't eligible for a lot of the SBA loan products. However, in this case, they are. There is not a document that we have or a slideshow that specifically talks about the purposes of nonprofits. So if that person would like to reach out, because I know we probably just have a few nonprofits on the call, reach out to us directly. There is some information that we have been given that we could share. We do not, again, have a formal presentation on the specific nonprofits, but we have some of the frequently asked questions that would apply for nonprofits that we can share. Unfortunately, there's just not a document I can put through the
Okay. Okay. What information do you have on the loans that do not require repayment?
So
where can that be found, I guess?
Okay, so some of the information we were told at the conference call late last night, some of that information is being worked on Capitol Hill right now. We can't speak of the parameters. I think a lot of people have called me since yesterday asking me about forgivable loans and grants. Unfortunately, the assistance program that we can talk about right now that is approved is the EIDL loan, the economic interest disaster loan. There are some things coming down, and I will work with Ann and Jessica if we have some updates in the next couple of days. If we want to do another budget or those of you in the audience that want an update on what come back and give more information. But as of right now, we do not have that because it has not been officially approved and sent out yet.
Yeah. And just to follow up, we are recording this, so we will send this out to everybody who's participated, and we will probably schedule another session with Josh in the near future just to answer some questions that I'm sure maybe everybody has but haven't officially been answered yet. Josh, somebody asked what the website we mentioned before the conference started was. Oh, I think that was me. I'm sorry. It's trustlocal.org, and that is a place where we have kind of compiled all of our resources from our partners. There's a survey there for businesses and consumers to fill out to let us know what you're looking for in what needs you have, what challenges you're facing. So that's trustlocal.org. The last question we have, it looks like, is does applying for this loan affect whether or not you can apply for or receive either of the two SBA programs that are being included in the House bill being worked on now?
Unfortunately, since those are being passed through, we don't know what the end state of those will look like, so I can't speak to that right now. However, what I will tell you is the other programs that have been out there in the past, such as those that were currently applying to 7A or 504 loans or other SBA products or services with local lending partners, I will tell you this EIDL loan did not affect those. So I can only tell you what's current right now. As we have more information and those things get approved on the Hill, we will be able to speak to those directly and what that looks like. We are telling people, please apply to the EIDL loan if you think, or you already know you need assistance. Apply now. It starts the ball rolling on the process. And then if you decide that, A, you don't need it, it's not a problem. Because you've already started the application, it's not going to be an issue if you have to stop and use one of the other programs that you like better that may come out. That's fine, or you can repay with no penalty. Just remember that is a available option too. So if something comes out, you get your loan dispersed, and based on one of the other programs that come out, and you're going to start using that, so you don't need to use quite as much on the EIDL loan that you have already received, then you would be able to pay that back without any prepayment penalty.
Great. And we had a request to put up the contacts for the Columbus region again, so I'm going to go ahead and do that really quickly. And again, I wanted to let you guys know that we did record this webinar, and we will be sending it out to all of the attendees, as well as our database. And stay tuned for further information on additional webinars with Josh, because I think that the situation is constantly evolving. So we'll make sure that we have as much up-to-date information as we can for you guys.
Yes, and thank you, Jessica. And that's a very true statement. Please bear with us. We know that everything's changing. We are trying to put these updates out. That's why I'm making myself available as new information comes out, because we know that businesses will need to take advantage of other programs as they come available, and several programs, possibly simultaneously, because of the need and kind of what is going on. As someone mentioned as one of the questions, we don't know how long this is going to last, but we are here to help support our local resource partners and the small business community the best way we can.
Yep. We had two more questions come in, Josh. One was, does applying for a disaster loan affect receiving other SBA loans?
So no, as far as I mentioned earlier, 7A and 504 loans, we've actually had those in specific instances where we had businesses that were in the process of that. No, that does not affect that currently. Okay.
And then the last question was, is there going to be help for those who file 1099 forms? They're not able to file unemployment and they don't have any employees, so what are they able to do?
1099s are eligible.
And is that the same process?
Yes, so it depends. There are some parameters as you go through the process. There are some parameters, but there are some 1099 employees that are available as it was put out in our last training update. Now, if that individual has specific questions, please reach out to us. That's what we're here for, is to help kind of see what we can do to answer questions on the front end. And some people have very specific questions to their business or situation. So we always like to try to touch base with them and help when we can. And some of them have to be escalated to the disaster customer service team, but we like to give local assistance when we can.
Great. Well, if anybody has any other last minute questions, we have, I think, just a few more minutes. We do want to be mindful of everybody's time. I know that it's you know, been a long couple of weeks, a weird couple of weeks, and it's, you know, finally Friday, I think. We did have one more question come in. How does the collateral component affect the two SBA loans? If they apply for EIDL and 7A, can they utilize the same collateral?
So if there is a way to take second position, yes. Now, there has to be a collateral available left to take, but that is an option.
Okay, great.
And I hope that
All
makes
right.
sense to that person's question.
I have not seen a follow-up to it, so yes, it does, he said.
Okay, the reason I was putting that out, as I kind of mentioned earlier, some people have very specific circumstantial questions. That's why, as mentioned to the question right before the one about collateral, we want to make sure that we can touch base with them and assist them, because some people have, this was with the 1099 employee, we have very specific cases that, you know, after a dialogue could change their availability. So that's why we always like to kind of touch base to find out, make sure we're not missing anything on the surface question.
Sure, great. Okay, wonderful. Thank you, Josh. Was there anything else that you felt might be helpful to touch on today? Like I said, we're going to make sure everybody has this recording.
Awesome. No, I just would like to say thank you for all those that attended and asked questions. And Jessica, and to the Better Business Bureau, thank you for hosting this webinar. I look forward to doing a follow-up as we have more information to provide so we can get it on the widest dissemination. And thank you again, and please, everyone, have a great rest of your Friday.
Great. Thank you, Josh. And again, I want to say thank you to everybody as well. We will be sending the recording. You can find information about the SBA on trustlocal.org. And if you ever have any questions, please feel free to reach out to any of our employees. We're all working remotely right now, but we are available through phone, email, our live chat on our website. So we're here to help however we can. So please, please, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. Thank you guys very much. I just saw another question come in from Catherine. Catherine, I will send that question along to Josh. I think if there aren't any others, I will say thank you and have a great day.